There is no way that this just happened. Is following a hugely anticipated debut for the Toronto Blue Jays for Shane Bieber. He not only came out and exceeded expectations, he looked absolutely dominant. We'll break down exactly what happened in this game, and most importantly, discuss what this start means going forward. But also, we have some other players to discuss as well, and a few other Jays updates, folks. A ton to go over today. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts with the support. So make sure to continue supporting by hitting that subscribe button, folks. What a night! The hugely anticipated Shane Bieber start, former Cy Young winner, former multi-time All-Star. Obviously wasn't an All-Star this year. First time pitching since April 2024, I believe it was. And he now comes out and just absolutely shoves, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be diving into the entire Shane Bieber experience. But before we do that, let's go over the offense a little bit, and then we'll have a full, second half of this video fully on Shane Bieber. Let's start. Now, something to note, no Vladimir Guerrero Jr. There is some interesting things on that front. We'll have a video coming for you early tomorrow morning, so feel free to check that one out. But George Springer, 1 for 4. Good to see him get a hit. Addison Barger, 1 for 4. And he's been scuffling a bit more uncompetitive at bats. It's good to see him get a hit as well. A couple offers lately. Very solid. Bichette, 1 for 3. Alejandro Kirk, 1 for 3. The man of the day outside of the pitching staff, Dalton Varsho, with not only a huge home run, but also a clutch hit there early on in the, I believe it was the first inning. And obviously that led to a Ty France 2 RBI single. Huge game for Dalton Varsho. And he hit a home run again. This trade, and I don't want to go too much on a tangent here. This trade for the Blue Jays, the Dalton Varsho one, it is aging perfectly. Dalton Varsho is unbelievable. And to have somebody who is able to come up and give you that huge, in the first inning, they scored 3 runs, to give you that huge just home run. And obviously the Varsho home run was later in the game. But to have a guy, an offensive powerhouse like Dalton Varsho, and I'm calling him an offensive powerhouse. Guess what, folks? This season, he was, just have one swing of the bat can just change everything, and that's what Dalton Varsho has brought to this team. When they were missing him, that's why there was some scuffling of the offense, scoring 3 in the first, and then I believe it was 2 in the 5th. So crazy from that. Clement and Jimenez struggled a little bit, but in a game where the offense is a little bit, struggling for a bit there, not in this game, obviously, but in previous games, there were some ups and downs, ebbs and flows, of course, of a season. Varsho, massive home run. Ty France continuing to produce, inching his OPS closer to 700. And with the 2 RBI single, you love to see that. And then, of course, hits from the big boys up top. Hopefully, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. returns very, very soon. And then from there, you're looking at an absolutely dominant lineup. And again, if you have Varsho, cooking the way he's been cooking, unreal. Also, want to give a huge shout out to Andres Jimenez. We'll dive into it a bit later. Defensively, just spectacular to watch. But let's not waste any more time, folks. The man of the hour, not Eric Lauer, not Lauer Hour, but the man of the hour, Shane Bieber, goes 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 9 Ks on 87 pitches. And man, oh man, was watching this player special. Absolutely dominant. And you're going up against, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, or maybe even earlier today's video as well, early, you're going up against an early, I guess his first start back being early, but a decent, Marlins offense, but not that great. It is a perfect start for him to get in there against a crazy offensive team. And boy, did he dominate. He gave up 2 hits, one of which was a home run, a solo shot. It is what it is. His command was, you could argue he has the best command on the team already. That was the best start I've watched command wise all season long. You could argue a couple Chris Bassett starts, things like that. It was the best command I've seen. And I see people on Twitter saying the best command in the last 10 years for the Toronto Blue Jays. It was like Marco Estrada, Mark Burley, level commands. He has his off-speed pitches dominant. His changeup against lefties absolutely filthy. His fastball 93-94. The velo was fully back. He is painting the edges against righties, painting the edges down and away against lefties. He is a joy to watch, folks. This was incredible. Let's look at his spray charts. I don't know if this is the whole game, but looking at some of his spray charts, he was all around the zone, but he was up and ahead in the count so much by pitching that first pitch strike that he was able to throw some, not really throwaway pitches, but, pitches that were competitive. Some pitches obviously weren't, but some pitches that were competitive to the point where they were swinging and missing at ease. And if you would have told me Bieber would have given you 9 Ks, and if he was fully recovered, and he's obviously fully recovered, but I mean in the sense of his arm and being fully healthy, they would have put him back out there for the 7th inning. Happy they didn't. 87 pitches, pounding the strike zone, 55 strikes, no walks, which is incredible. I'm just over the moon about this start. And he averaged just under 92.7 and maxed out at 93.7. It was 92 last year and 91.3 in 2023. He will be incredible if he can be around 93 moving forward. And obviously, That's huge for Shane Bieber, right? Getting back to that Cy Young level. He was between 92 and 94 in his Cy Young year back in 2020. Now coming out, he looked like Cy Young Shane Bieber. I'm going to put it that way. And obviously, it was just he is a true ace, right? And that's what it is. This team has been looking for an ace. We spoke about it at the deadline, talking about guys like Edward Cabrera, maybe Sandy Alcantara, guys like, of course, Jacob deGrom. None of those guys became available. The Jays come out and they grab the clearly already, even after one start, the best pitcher, starting pitcher traded at the deadline, which I said at the time of the trade deadline. If they can extend Bieber, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but if he continues to be even a shell of this guy and he does great in the playoffs or even just makes playoff starts, this is going to go down as just a fantastic, absolute robbery for the Jays. I discussed it at the time. I'm going to continue discussing it now. People are making jokes, and I made jokes myself on Twitter. Already just lock him up, right? Lock him up, lock him up, lock him up, meaning extend him, right? That's people on Twitter. I'm talking about on Twitter. It is dominant, right? And he is so good that this is the ace that they wanted. You have a 1-2-3 punch of Gausman, Scherzer, Bieber. I mean, just absolute filth. And you think about previous years in the wildcard series where you're kind of at the point where you didn't have that true ace. Gausman, you could consider him a true ace back when they first signed him and things like that. Bieber is a true ace. Scherzer, in a playoff series, or playoff game especially, I'm taking him over most pitchers in the AL, aside from a couple of the really big aces. And then you have, of course, Bieber here, or Gausman, depending on who's the third. Just absolutely disgusting, folks. And his first inning was dominant as well. 2 swinging strikeouts, hit by pitch, and a flyout. Off to a good start, and it just got better from there. And looking at some of the advanced stuff, like you can feel free to pause and read through it. His changeup was dominant. See if you're here from Thomas Nestico, I believe it is. Shane Bieber made his Blue Jays debut, and it went as well as it possibly could have. We all know. Stuff graded out well, and his secondaries were on point. This is the ace the Jays hoped they traded for. The new changeup, which is a new pitch he's implemented recently, unbelievable against lefties. And it gives him that pitch where, think back to, and I'm not comparing these two guys, but think the guy like Bowden Francis, right? And obviously he struggles to have that wipeout pitch and that dominant strikeout pitch, right? That pitch that completely dominates, especially lefties. Bieber has that with the changeup. Like that is his put away pitch against lefties, whether it be his fastball, slider, all these different things. And I'm not comparing Bowden Francis and Shane Bieber, but, I remember very clearly games even this year when Bowden Francis struggled. He didn't have that wipeout strikeout pitch that would allow him to get out of an inning. Guess who does? Shane Bieber. And that's what aces are made of. And his velo's back. He's back. He looks healthier than, ever. And obviously in his career, he's been dominant. He's always been good. He's never been bad. But to see his velo jump around, even in his, the year where he was hurt a little bit back in 2023, 91.3, to see him fully undergo a surgery, come back, look absolutely dominant after Tommy John, I am fired up. And this matters so much, not just for this game, this one win, but going forward against the perennial AL East teams and the AL East teams in the playoffs, but also for years to come in perennial contenders. Folks, that'll wrap it up. Let me know if you're as excited as I am. Perfect game. Not an actual perfect game, but a perfect game in my mind. Jays play again tomorrow. Shane Bieber's a beast. Dalton Varsho's a beast. Shout out to Andres Jimenez for his elite defense, multiple plays. Ty France first holding it down with some great stretches. You guys are the best. And man, oh man, Vladdy back tomorrow, hopefully. Things are cooking up here in Toronto.